y'all, it's Miss Malice, and today I am cleaning Nintendo 64 controllers in preparation to get ready to go to the RetroMania convention held in New Braunfels, Texas on January 22nd and 23rd. General Malice and I are going to be there with all of our retro gaming stuff. So come join us if you're in Texas, and if not, then you can watch our videos and kind of follow along. We'll be live streaming while we are there. So what I like to do when I am cleaning the Nintendo 64 controllers is I like to do a complete and total breakdown. I want to make sure that I'm cleaning all of the contacts, all of the pads, all of the triggers, all the buttons, pretty much everything, so that there's not any issues. These controllers are, 25 plus years old, so they've lived good lives. There's lots and lots of grime inside of these bad boys. So I just want to take the time to get them all cleaned up and ready to go on for their next life. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so these are the atomic purple controllers. So what you need when you're doing your controller cleaning is you need a Phillips head screwdriver for the Nintendo 64 controllers. They're all Phillips screws. Use isopropyl alcohol, 91% or higher. That means that there's not a lot of water in it, so you're not going to have damage to your components. You want either a can of compressed air or a duster blower. You want to have a toothbrush, and then you want to have a reservoir of water with a little bit of soap in it, and that's going to clean all of your plastic pieces. You're going to go ahead and just dunk those in the soapy water and then use a scrub brush and scrub them, and then clean them off with alcohol and dry them from there. So let's go ahead and get started. The last thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to clean the cord off last, so I'll go ahead and leave that wrapped up for now. Let's go ahead and get these screws out. So I'm using an iFixit kit. I like them because they have the little tray where you can keep all of your parts in there as you're working. It keeps everything separated. It's got all the size tools you need for working on all of the different consoles, from Xbox to Nintendo to PlayStation. The newer consoles have proprietary screws, so it's really important, if you don't want to damage your electronics, that you use the right tools to take them apart. So we're not sponsored by iFixit. We just like them. Tronics Fix, who's another YouTuber, he turned us on to using the tools, and so we've been very happy with the equipment since we got it. So there's 7 screws on the back, and those are all the same size, and then there's 2 screws in here where the jumper pack or rumble pack, booster pack goes. These are also Phillips head screws. They're a little bit smaller. What I like to do is I like to just get them all completely unscrewed, and then I'll just dump the controller over and all the screws come out. Make sure they're all out, good to go. And then I keep the screws separated by what they are on the lid of the iFixit kit. Okay, so those are screws for the back. Those are the screws for the booster pack area. And then after we get those screws, oh, there's one still in there. After we get those screws out, you're actually able to take the controller apart. And just lifts up like that. So now we have our 2 pieces, front and the back. So next, to get this off of the front piece, there's these 3 silver screws right here that hold the joystick on. So you just want to take those out. Same thing, it's a Phillips head screw, and these are the silver screws. So it's nice because, again, these are different than the other screws, so it's really hard to get them mixed up. And then just take them out and put them in your little workstation. Okay, and now all of the plastic parts, all of the little rubber jumper parts, connection pieces, those are all going to go into a soapy water bath. So you do want to be careful because these have little nubs on them that go into certain parts, so you don't want to accidentally rip them. I'm sure there's replacement parts, but it's better to just take care of what you have than to have to wait and order it and deal with, you know, supply chain issues and whatnot. We're going to just unwrap that. It's just kind of woven between these two plastic pieces right here on the controller. And you want to be careful. These do break pretty easily if you're not careful with it. When you're drying it off or even scrubbing it, they bend and break pretty easily. So we're just going to take this off. I'm going to set this over here for right now so it's out of the way. I do want to be careful because I don't want to damage the joystick or any of the components on there. And I'm going to clean that in a second. I'm going to take all these little rubber pads off. And then all the buttons just fall right out. So we're left with our top and our bottom, all of our component pieces, and we have our board with the joystick still attached to it. Okay. So I have a bucket of soapy water that I'm using to clean all my plastic parts. And I'm just throwing all that stuff in there. It's just water with Dawn dish soap in it. And so now I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to go ahead and clean off all the contacts here where the buttons touch. I'm going to clean out the joystick. It's got a little bit of stuff inside that little hole right there. So I'm going to make sure to get that out. A little bit of alcohol. This joystick is actually pretty grimy. You can see right in there. I hope y'all can see right in there. It's got some like caked up stuff, and so I'm just going to take a few minutes and I'm going to, you know, hold the joystick over gently, brush each one of the sides, and I'm also going to try to use a Q-tip and go around the little well and get any pieces that are stuck in there. So the joystick is replaceable. However, from what I've read, if you're not actually getting an OEM Nintendo joystick replacement for the Nintendo 64, it doesn't feel the same. And a lot of people were not as happy with the replacement part as they were with the original one. So, you know, say an original one, you'd give it a score of a 10 out of 10. They said a brand new replacement one, and they would give it like a score out of 6 out of 10. You know, even though it was brand new, it just didn't have the same feel as the OEM part. So I'm trying to protect all the original parts as best as I can. And I'm just going to use a little bit of alcohol and clean off the contacts. These are the contacts for all the buttons. Everything looks pretty good. There's a little bit of something right there. Nothing major. Let's check out the back side. Clean off the trigger for the joystick or the Z-pad. Okay, clean those guys off again just for safe measure. Actually, let's do this now while we're here. Scrub off our end. Alcohol. And dry that off. And again, I'm going to set that over to the side so it's out of the way, away from the water, and away from all the danger. And now the fun stuff. this is where you're going to be careful. This piece right here and these little pieces right here, those are pretty fragile. So when you're cleaning, just, you know, be aware. You want to make sure that you're getting in all of the holes, all of the seams, any place where 2 pieces of plastic meet, because that's where the dirt and the junk is going to gather, and you want to make sure that you just don't have any of that residue left anymore. We want this controller to look as new as possible. And then I'm just going to go over the edge, make sure that I got all the stuff out of the lip that's right there. It looks pretty good. Made sure that the Nintendo's all cleaned out. I don't see any stuff stuck in this little edge right here where the joystick goes. All of the buttonholes look pretty good. So I'm just going to set this to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and do the detail scrubbing on this one. And then after I do the detail scrubbing, like I said, I set them on the side, let them dry, and then once I'm done cleaning everything, I'm going to use isopropyl alcohol to rinse everything off. That's going to help evaporate any of the water that's trapped inside the little spots. That way we don't have any issues with moisture and corrosion in the future. I get all the little screw holes cleaned out right here. You know, and once it takes a little bit to get started, but once you kind of get into the swing of things, it's not so bad. I've got a box of like 30 or something to clean, so. Make sure you're cleaning the back of the contact pads. Sometimes little bugs crawl up in there, or like a little piece of Cheeto gets in there, and that prevents the controller from working. So just clean it all off. Make sure there's no dust in there. It's vintage dust, but regardless, we don't want it.
Hi, viewer.
Oh, hi, viewer. Thanks for checking us out. Just here cleaning controllers. Sorry, General Malice is looking at the comments and stuff, so I'm just here cleaning. But if y'all have any questions or anything like that, feel free to put them in the chat. We're getting ready to go to RetroMaina in New Braunfels on January 22nd and 23rd. We're going to have 3 tables there. So we're just trying to get all of our controllers and stuff cleaned up, get our consoles ready to go. So over the next few days, we're going to be doing lots of videos of just getting prepared, a day in the life of retro resellers. We're located in Austin, Texas, but we travel. We go all over the place. So I'm almost done with all the buttons now. Just scrubbing to make sure that we don't have any little dirt stuck in the little corners of the triangles on these. And this is just soapy water. It's just dish soap and water. It's not even warm water anymore. Do a once over, make sure I got everything out. Always a escapee or two. Okay. Looking good. So we move the water to the side. Alrighty. Now on to the fun stuff. Yay! Thank you so much for the like. I appreciate it. we're just sitting here, like I said, getting ready, cleaning these controllers. It's nice. You can do this to your own controllers at home, even if you're not selling them, if you just want to spruce them up a little bit. These atomic purple ones kind of oxidize with time. They get a little grayish. But I found when you wash them with soap and water, a lot of that oxidation goes away. So I can show you. Yeah, you can even retro-brite them. But they, you know, it'll brighten up the plastic. So this is one that I just washed. And this is one that I haven't really washed. You can kind of see it has a little bit more of a grayish cast to it. So I'm going to put a little alcohol in here. That's just going to help get any of the water that's trapped on there off. And I'm trying to be really, really careful so I don't break any of these little plastic prongs. That's been an issue. Some of these controllers, you know, they're vintage now. Some of these controllers have been through some things, and so these parts on side can be a little fragile at times. So I'm going to use a little bit of canned air. I apologize for the noise. And I'm just going to set that to the side, let it dry. Same thing, we're going to put some alcohol in this one. This side always gets water trapped in the rumble pack area, and so it takes a lot more effort to get it completely dry. Trying to be careful so I don't snag anything. But yeah, like I said, I've got like 25 or 30 of these controllers to clean today, so that's what I'm sitting here and doing. And as I go, I test each controller. I take them all apart, clean every single part of them, and then after that, I test them and make sure that they're good to go. If there's any issues, if they need repairs or anything like that, then I set them over to the side, and I either Frankenstein parts together to make new controllers, or I sell them broken if people are interested in trying to, you know, customize their own controllers and stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and use some compressed air. I apologize for the noise. Just gotta make sure I get all that stuff dried out of there. Alright, so we've got our little buttons. One thing about the buttons is they always end up holding water inside of them. So I just put a little bit of alcohol in there, shake them up, dump them out, and like set them upside down. And that dries, lets them drain and dries the water out. I apologize if anybody's commenting or anything like that. I'm unable to see comments at this moment. But as soon as General Malice gets back in here, if there's anything there, then we'll reply to the comments. But we do have an eBay store, so all of our items are listed on our eBay store as well. It's called Retro New Market. Our links are in our bio. So if you're interested in buying anything, feel free to head on over there. Or if you see something you like and you reach out to us, you know, outside of eBay, then we can always work out, you know, a situation with like using PayPal or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, you know. We want to make sure that we are taking care of our customers as best as we can. And we know that not everybody has eBay, but there are other marketplaces that we use. And if you're local in Austin and you want to, you know, check us out at RetroMaina, January 22nd, 23rd. We'll be in San Marcos. No, sorry, not San Marcos, New Braunfels. And if you want to check us out in Austin locally, we can do local pickup on our eBay store, as well as our Facebook Marketplace. Be smart and don't spray the stuff directly into your eyeballs. Done that twice today. Sorry, I'm using the air again. I apologize. Alright. See how everything is looking. That looks pretty good. pretty dry. That's still got some moisture in there. Looks good. Alrighty. So now we can start putting stuff back together. And fortunately, all of the buttons have proprietary orientations, so they all have a specific way that they go. It makes it a lot easier to put things in here. So we put the notch in there. The start button goes here. We've got the A button. What's the A button? Should have this memorized by now. And the B button. Here's our little directional buttons. So, oh, that's not the right one. This one? There we go. It's like a little puzzle every time. Alright, that one goes there. Yay, I did it! Yay! Alright, now that I got the buttons on there, I'm going to put their little rubber pads back on. Okay. Earlier, when I was putting these together, I accidentally made a mistake and didn't have the A button pushed in correctly. And that messed up everything when it came time to put the thing back together. So, alright, so our top half is done. Let's double check this, make sure this looks good. Okay, it's all cleaned up, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back in here. And then we're going to thread that through, back through the top, looking good. Okay, while I'm here, let's use those silver screws and we're going to secure the joystick back in. Plus it helps hold the controller together and makes it a little bit easier while we're working. Wrong screwdriver on that, probably. Okay. And y'all want to make sure that if you are taking your controllers apart, you don't have to screw things down until it's super tight. It's plastic. The plastic does break. If you twist it too much or, turn it too tight, it can snap off the whole thing. I've done it today. So, just warning you, because it's easier done than you think. Let's see here. Is that even going in? There it goes. All right, everything's looking good. We've got all of our buttons in place. Okay. We're just not locked down all the way yet. Okay. Cool beans. So we're gonna go ahead and get our Z trigger button on. And it's got these little nubs that fit inside. If you look right here, there's little holes on the circuit. There's also little matching nubs on the back of the pad. And those kind of click into the circuit board and hold the pad in place. So if you're ever wondering why it's not sitting down correctly, check and make sure those pads are in the holes all the way. Simple little things like that. I mean, you might have a controller that's acting up and then you realize, oh, hey, there was like a Cheeto dust underneath the control, under this pad. And after you spend a few minutes, cleaning it out, put it back together and it works totally fine. It's like, you can save your controller. Maybe it's your lucky controller you've had since you were a kid. You want to make it last. All right, so same thing. These have the same little nubs on the bottom and the top to fit into the board. I like to try to hold the rubber down when I put the pieces back in. It just helps keep the pad from lifting up and not sitting flush in the actual controller. Okay, so now we're going to put our left and right triggers on. So they're backwards. So this is the left trigger. It's on the right side right now. Right trigger is on the left side right now. It helps to remember if you're looking at it from the inside with the face down, the long tabs go pointing down towards the floor. Okay, so everything's there. We're looking good. We're going to double check, make sure there's no water in here or alcohol. We don't want any extra moisture trapped inside unnecessarily. Nothing to cause any kind of corrosion or rust or anything like that. Okay, it looks good. Check and make sure there's no dirt trapped in here before I close it up. And then it sits just like that. Okay, so we're going to put the same 7 screws back in that we took out at the beginning. Phillips head screwdriver. And we're just doing the reverse of what we did to take it apart. Make sure, y'all, when you're screwing these screws in, that you're lining them up correctly, because there is a chance that you can kind of put them in wrong, and that can also break the plastic. Just because, you know, it feels like the screw's going in straight, but then all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm going to go take a left turn, and then the plastic is snapped. So if you have to kind of back it up, you know, reverse the screw for a second to line up the threads correctly, you know, 1 or 2 turns backwards and then go forward to make sure it's in there. It's better to be safe than sorry. Like I said, you know, there's replacement parts for all of this stuff, but you want to have everything as OEM as possible. Nothing that is replacement out there is, you know, for these controllers is as good as the original stuff. Not the joysticks, not the shells, none of that stuff. So if you can preserve what you have, you know, it's best to try that. So again, I just try to back it up first, line it up, make sure it feels like it's in the hole correctly. And if it feels like it's giving me a little resistance when I start putting the screw in, I know that that's not right. It should just go, like, glide right into the screw hole. So back it up, make sure it's set right. Resistance. Nope, resistance. Nope. Come on, where are you at? Sometimes it might just be the angle that you're holding a screwdriver, you know? Simple stuff like that, where it's just something really simple and you just need to kind of readjust your grip to make sure. I mean, or you could just, you know, do it however you want to do it. That's also a valid way of doing it. I'm just learning from my mistakes and trying to help people not go through the same experiences as me. But, you know, maybe that's just how you like to do it. Let's see here. Come on. Let's go, let's go. There. Is that it? Nope, that's not good. Why is it always 1? You know? Let's see. I just don't want to damage it. There it goes. See? That's all it was. It was just a little bit of extra finagling. Okay. And then I'm going to switch to the smaller screwdriver right now for the iFixit, because for whatever reason, the larger screw handle is not as magnetic. And so when I'm trying to get these tiny screws into this hole, they just keep falling over, and I can't see well enough to get in there to tighten them. All right. So, putting our last 2 screws in. I'm going to secure everything in place. Okay. I don't know if there's anybody new here, but I am cleaning Nintendo 64 controllers in preparation for the RetroMania Retro Gaming Convention in New Braunfels, Texas, January 22nd and 23rd. My husband and I have a eBay store, and we're going to have 3 tables there with our retro games, retro collectibles, and stuff like that. So we're currently working on getting our inventory prepared for this convention. So that's why I'm cleaning all these controllers right now. Okay, so like I said, last thing, we're going to clean the cord, make sure that that looks nice. We don't want any Cheeto crumbs, vintage Cheeto crumbs, going to the new owner of this beautiful controller. Then after we get the cord cleaned, we're going to plug it into the Nintendo 64, and we are going to check and make sure that it is good to go. I'm playing Conker's Bad Fur Day. That's my game of choice today. buttons look good. This one looks really, really nice. It cleaned up really well. Just takes a second to load, and we're good to go. This control, the joystick is so, like, good on this one. This one feels brand new. All right, Conquer, let's see. Looking good. That works. That works. That works. Looking good. All right. Looks good. So we've gotten 3 controllers cleaned so far since I started. We've been working for about an hour and a half. You know, in the beginning, it takes a second to get everything set up, get your cleaning station going. Once you get that going, it's no big deal. And we had 1 controller that I would say is perfect, like 10 out of 10, this one right here. We have 1 controller that's a 9.5 out of 10, and we have 1 controller that had a few pieces that are broken on the inside. The controller still works great, but it has a few internal issues with, like, where the screw parts broke off. One of those broke. So it's not a 9, you know, it's not a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. The joystick is perfect, but the controller itself is, you know, it's a B quality. So that'll go into a separate category at the convention. We won't sell those for full price, even though, yeah, this is the one I'm talking about. Looks good, but unfortunately, the piece right here broke. So that one, yeah, purely cosmetic, but we just want to make sure that, you know, we're completely transparent with our customers and that we're providing them with, you know, good quality merchandise for the price that they're paying. So we're going to go ahead and get on to the next one. Give me a second, I'm going to grab that. Do it. Another atomic purple. Same thing. Take this bad boy apart. This one's crusty. Need a good clean. Satisfying. It's one of the best things about doing this, though. It's like you can, like, literally watch the progress as you're going. You know, you take something that's gross and dirty looking, and then you make it look like it was brand new again, and somebody can use it again, and it's not going in the garbage. That's, you know, what I really enjoy about this, is that we're revitalizing and bringing life back to items that somebody once loved and somebody still probably loves. It doesn't have the right screwdriver in it. It has a 4. That one. I thought it was this one right here. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up in the, you know, the 90s. Captain Planet was one of my favorite cartoons. You know, they ingrained the reduce, reuse, recycle thing into my brain as a kid. So anything, if I can fix it or reuse it or, you know, make it better, or, you know, make it into something new, I'd much rather do that than throw it away. So.
But we had her personal leave, so you're solo, but it's okay.
That's okay. Still talking. Yeah. So we got those pieces off. We can take our controller apart. Let's see here. So keep our 2 screws separate from our 7. I'm going to go ahead and take these screws off here. Remember, it's just the silver ones. You don't have to take the black one off. If you take the black one off, it actually takes the joystick unit apart, and you can actually see what it looks like on the inside. I thought it'd be a good idea to do that one time. I mean, it was cool. I learned a lot from it, but it didn't help me fixing the problem. I learned what causes the problem, though, so that was kind of neat. Take our little rubber pads off. One of these I cleaned earlier had a bug underneath it. Like, it wasn't alive, but I was like, well, that probably explains why that controller wasn't working. Okay. Okay. So I noticed that there was a little bit of dirt and stuff on the other controller I cleaned earlier. I caught it after the fact. It was hiding under the joystick lip. Nobody wants a dirty joystick lip, right? Ew. Okay, so we're separated. We've got our left and our right trigger. We've got our start, our A, B, and our buttons. We go ahead and put these plastic pieces in the soapy water. And while those are soaking, we're going to clean off the contacts. It's just isopropyl alcohol. Using a little toothbrush. Get the joystick good and cleaned. Okay, let's flip it over. Let's just clean off this real quick. Oh, that looks a little crusty too. Okay, we'll clean the cord off last. Set that to the side for now, out of the way. Joystick looks good. It's a little crusty right there. Okay, that's better. Okay.
Another live viewer.
Hey y'all, how's it going? Just cleaning some controllers, getting ready for the RetroMaina convention in New Braunfels, Texas, January 22nd and 23rd. My husband and I have an eBay store, sell retro video games and collectibles, and so we are just getting ready to have our merchandise prepared for the convention. So thanks for checking us out. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you're having a great day. Feel free if you have any questions or anything like that. So right now I'm just doing a complete and total breakdown cleaning of these controllers. I've got 2 boxes. Each box has about 35 controllers in it. They're full of vintage dirt. And so I just want to remove that before these go on to their new owners. So this is just soap and water. And then I've got isopropyl alcohol. And I have a can of compressed air to help get any crud, you know, moved out that's stuck in corners and to help dry everything off. Oh, that's so dirty. I don't know if you can see it, but that start is stuck full of dirt. Still dirty. It's getting there. A little bit of elbow grease should get the job done. Almost there. Maybe let it soak a minute longer. Make it easier. I'm just making sure to clean all the contacts off the back of the rubber pads. That way I make sure there's no dust in there.
Oh my god.
Or any little, crumbs that might cause a disconnection between the pad and the contact on the back of the circuit. Let's try that start one again. Better. Let's see. I don't know. I feel like that might be marker or something in there. That's kind of...
To you viewers.
Hey, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. We're just cleaning Nintendo 64 controllers, getting ready for the RetroMaina convention in New Braunfels, Texas, January 22nd, 23rd. I am currently fighting the war against dirt in the start button of a Nintendo 64 controller. I've almost won.
Since we're streaming from your phone, it's hard to get messages up. But I'm trying to get it so I can see it.
Okay.
Let them know that.
Okay. Just if anybody's putting messages or anything, I'm having a hard time because I'm streaming from my phone. My husband is trying to pull them up on the computer so that he can. Ms.Malice is trying to pull them up on the computer so he can answer y'all. So, spend a little bit of time scrubbing this. And this is just dish soap and water to kind of get any of the residue and stuff off. Try to soak them. Nobody needs a dirty controller. And it's really cool too. I've noticed a lot of these Atomic Purple controllers, as you clean them, the oxidation kind of wears away and that purple color comes back. They don't look quite so yellow or so gray. So that's always nice. It feels really good to see them come back to life, revitalized. So. Does anybody have a favorite Nintendo 64 game they play or used to play? I'm currently using Conker's Bad Fur Day as my game of the day to test these controllers with. I'm a Mario Party fan. I love Mario Parties. Those are all fun. I'm just using a soft bristle brush to clean the inside, especially the large areas of the controller. And then I'll use the toothbrush to go around the edges and make sure that, I got all the stuff out of this little lip right there. Anywhere where the two pieces of plastic meet up is a great place for... Howdy! Any place the controller plastic meets up is a good place for grime to get stuck. So I want to make sure I get all that stuff out. So I'm just going to set that over to the side, let it dry, and then we're going to start scrubbing the second one. Like I said, we're getting ready for RetroMaina convention in New Braunfels, Texas, January 23rd and 22nd and 23rd. Ms.Malice and I have a booth there. We're going to have 3 tables, retro video games, new video games, some collectibles, all sorts of good stuff. So if you are in Texas, in Central Texas, and you want to give us a, check us out, we'll be there. The New Braunfels Convention Center. There's links in our bio and stuff about all this information. If you're interested in buying anything and you're not in Texas, we do have an eBay store. It's called Retro New Market. You can check that out and see what we have available. We're primarily, we spend most of our time in Central Texas, but we do travel from time to time. We do plan on doing some conventions in other areas this year. Just getting things started for the new year. Okay, so that looks good. Welcome. Thank you so much for checking us out. Still some dirt in there. I don't want to, I guess it's free dirt, but not everybody wants dirt. Let's see what we got going on here. Looking good. Looks good. All right, so I'm gonna set that to the side, let that dry for a second. Done with the wet stuff. Now we're back with the plastic pieces. All right. So we're gonna put the buttons in some alcohol real quick. And that's gonna help get any of the water that's inside of them out. I'm just gonna shake them up, dump them out, let them dry.
Rallying the CSBA, so say thank you CSBA people for coming in.
Thank you CSBA people for checking us out. I appreciate it.
I'm Ms.Malice.
I'm Ms.Malice, General Malice's wife. Thank you so much for checking us out. We're getting ready for the retro convention, RetroMaina, January 22nd and 23rd. We are cleaning Nintendo 64 controllers, getting them ready to go to new homes. So I'm just using alcohol to remove any of the residual water and soap bubbles from this part of the controller. Then I'm going to use a little bit of compressed air to dry it off here in a second. Look how great that looks. You can actually tell it's purple again. So good. Loving it. All right. So this part right here is where the water always ends up getting stuck. So I like to make sure to get the alcohol in there really well, because I don't want to have any like residual water left over when I close this controller back up, because we don't need any corrosion or any moisture trapped in there causing any damage. So I'll just dry off the outside. And then, like I said, we'll use a little bit of compressed air there in a second to get that all cleaned out and dried out. So, oh, the Z pad, or Z button came off. Let's put that back in there. There we go. Alrighty. Sorry for the noise, y'all. Done that twice. I've sprayed alcohol right directly in my eye. Looking good. See if I can dry that off a little bit better with paper towel. So yeah, so I'm almost done with the purple controllers. I think I have like maybe 2 or 3 more. These are always my favorite to start with because they just are so rewarding. Welcome to the stream, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just cleaning Nintendo 64 controllers, getting ready for a retro convention. It's called RetroMaina in New Braunfels, Texas. We're going to be there January 22nd and 23rd. General Malice and I have 3 tables, retro games, consoles, you name it, we've got it. So I'm just trying to, I have alcohol on these. I'm trying to dry the alcohol out so that I can put the controller back together so we don't have any corrosion issues or anything like that. We've scrubbed it with a toothbrush and a soft bristle brush to make sure that we got all the vintage Cheeto dust out. What we got going on there? Except for that vintage Cheeto dust right there on the side that I totally missed. That's actually like tape, but regardless, it's gone now. Looking good. Alrighty. So, make sure it's dry on the inside. A little bit of water there. And then we're going to put this bad boy back together. Okay, so I like to start with the front piece, and then I lay all the pieces in there and build it up. Plus it's easier because the screws are on the back. So, alright, we're looking good in the neighborhood. Okay, so we're going to start with our buttons. Let's get them dry. It's really nice with the Nintendo 64 controllers. Like, each button has a proprietary orientation that they go in. So you can't accidentally put the buttons in the wrong way because they don't fit. So,
Back to 8.
welcome to the stream. We're just cleaning some Nintendo controllers. Nintendo 64 controllers. I'm missing. Found it in the water. Gotta always double check for escapees when you're done scrubbing your stuff. I always end up leaving one of these in there. Okay. So I want to be careful when we slide this back on. The rubber is kind of, fragile. There are replacements for this stuff, but the OEM stuff, way better than replacement parts. Put our little start button in there. There we go. All right. And then our A and our B button. Thank you guys so much for the likes and the views. I really appreciate it. Like I said, we're just getting ready for this RetroCon, cleaning out some controllers.
Tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do here.
So I'm Ms.Malice's wife. My name's Ms.Malice. I do the repairs for the controllers. I do a lot of the behind the scenes work. I do repairs on consoles. I do rewiring. I do the 3D printing, stuff like that. So I do a lot of support work for the business. And we just thought it would be kind of fun for y'all to see kind of what it takes to get prepared for doing a convention. It's a lot of behind the scenes work, days and days and days of preparation to get stuff ready for the 2 days that we're going to be there. It's probably going to take us the full 10 days we have left to get everything prepared for the 2 days that we'll be there. But that's cool. That's part of the game, You want to make sure that you are prepared and you have everything ready to go so that when you get there, your customers don't have to worry about anything. Everything's been tested. Everything's good to go. And that's part of the added value that we try to provide for our customers is that, we're showing you we're taking the time to take this apart. We cleaned out all the dirt and all the little bits and baubles. We wanted to make sure it was good to go for y'all so that when you get it home, all you have to do is just plug it in and play. We take out all the worry behind it. All right, so we got a few more pieces to try off. And I already cleaned off the circuit board. I already went and wiped down all the contacts with alcohol. I scrubbed the little port where the booster pack goes into. Cleaned that out because it had a little bit of corrosion on it. And then I scrubbed the joystick box. The only thing left I have to clean is going to be the cord when I'm done at the very, very end. And then after I get it completely cleaned, then I will pop it into the Nintendo and we will test it, make sure that everything's working as it should be. So this little part, gotta thread this thing through here. This one's weird. There we go. The first couple controllers I did, it took me a little while to get into the swing of things. Now it's like, pretty familiar with it. I got this, no big deal. Just got to remember where everything goes, line it all up right. So these little pads have these little nubs on the back. They correspond with holes that are in the circuit boards, and they just kind of snap in or slide in. And then what I like to do when I put it back in place is I like to hold that rubber part down while I slide it in so that it doesn't catch on the bottom and lift up. And we are almost done getting the left and right trigger buttons back in. That one's being a little difficult. Is it locked in? So that one didn't want to stay in its hole. Go to your hole. Okay, so now that we've gotten that part done, we can put the Z pad back on. Same thing, it has a button or a hole on the top and the bottom of the pad. And then it flips underneath this little lip right here. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and start to secure things back in place. So we're going to secure the joystick in. But before I do that, I'm going to double check, make sure the buttons are all in correctly because I messed up earlier and had one of the buttons not sit correctly and had to, once I got it completely closed, I had to take it all the way apart again and reset the A button. So that was a bummer. So better be safe than sorry and just take care of it in the very beginning. Alrighty. So, it's like, there we go. You want to make sure too when you're putting these screws back in that, it's plastic and it's old plastic. So you don't need a whole lot of force when you're putting this in there. You want to make sure that the screw is snug and secure, but you don't want to tweak it or torque it so much that you break the little plastic that it's in, because you might split the plastic or you could actually like torque it so much that you break the whole plastic rod off and then it doesn't have anything to connect to. So that actually happened on this controller right here that I was working on. While I was working, I screwed it too tight and it broke off from right here. So now the controller works perfectly, but now it's, you know, a lower grade controller because of that damage. So I have it set to the side because since the joystick and all of the internals are good, I might find a case that is better for it that has maybe internals that are bad. So I just set it to the side and then, you know, but if we choose to sell it as is, then we would sell it for a lower price because of the cosmetic damage. All right, so let's see here. We got our 3 screws in. Welcome to the stream. Thank y'all so much. We're just getting some controllers cleaned up, ready for RetroMaina in New Braunfels, Texas. So we've got about 35 of them that we're working on right now. We're going to start with the atomic purples, and then we're going to go into whatever I have next. I don't know. There's a couple of cool colors in there. But we're doing complete and total breakdown, and wouldn't really say refurbishing, but like I'm doing a deep clean on these controllers to make sure that we get them good and ready to go for their new homes. So we've got the top part of the controller done. We're just going to go ahead and put the back side back on. You want to line everything up. We already made sure that our buttons are in place correctly on the front. Everything's lining up good. It's snapped in place. No issues. Let's start screwing this back together. So we're going to replace the 7 big screws on the back, and then there's the 2 smaller screws that go inside where the booster pack or the jumper pack goes.
And then say, hey, thank you to Rapid Raccoon. We see that you don't like us using canned air, and you're sending us a data back.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Rapid Raccoon. I see Ms.Malice is telling me all this. He said he sees that you don't like us using canned air, and you're sending us a Rapid Vac?
It is called a data vac.
Data vac. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
11 streamers in the stream.
Yay! Thank you guys all for checking us out. We're just trying to get ready for this RetroMaina convention, so I'm just cleaning these Nintendo 64 controllers. My name's Ms.Malice. I'm General Malice's wife. I do the kind of the behind the scenes work. I do the repairs. I do the wiring. I do the 3D printing. I do all the, you know, support work that helps keep things going. And so, yay! Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for following, liking, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Really, you know, it encourages me to keep doing this. So I hope y'all are all having a great day. I'm just having a good time. It's really great for me, honestly. Like I've said earlier, I really enjoy fixing things that are broken and bringing life back to things that maybe needed a little bit of love. I'd rather fix something than throw it away, especially when it comes to anything that's nostalgic. You know, this is all of our childhood, and I just want somebody to get to enjoy that again, you know? So rather than, you know, leave it in a bad condition, I want to take the time to go ahead and get it fixed up. So, let's see here. So what I've noticed with these is if you start to feel resistance when you're putting the screws in there, it's better to back it out, back it up, make sure that you have the screw in correctly. I made the mistake and thought, oh no, it'll be fine. It'll totally be fine. I got this. And I twisted it a little bit too much, and that is how I broke the piece earlier. So, you know, what I've found is if you just, you know, go backwards for a second, make sure that the screw is lined up correctly in the hole, and then you go forward, that you're much less likely to damage what you're working on. Because that's the whole goal, is to prevent damage and get it back to as close to its original condition as possible. Like, I want somebody to look at this controller and go, wait, this is used?
Hey, Jinx, for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Sorry. Get that screw in there. A little bit of trouble. Alrighty.
Everybody from the CSBA, love y'all having it in here. Thank you for supporting Ms.Malice as well.
Thank you so much, everybody from the CSBA. I really appreciate y'all being in here and giving me support too. Really does help. It keeps me encouraged. Keep doing this. Ah, dang. All right, hold on. I have to get a different screwdriver real quick. For whatever reason, this one, even though it's magnetic, this bit is not magnetic enough. And so every time I put the screws in there, it falls. So you can, and it's such a small spot, it's really hard to get in there. Come on. So after I get these 2 screws in here, then I'm going to go ahead and clean the cord. We're going to go ahead and plug it in, and we're going to test it, make sure it works. And then we'll go on to the next one. So, busy work, busy work. Hope everybody's having a great day today. We're just, like I said, we're getting ready for this RetroMaina. Yeah. New Braunfels, Texas.
Then we'll go up to ones in Dallas and going to places in your area.
Yep. So next, after this one, we're going to be going to one in Dallas, and then we're going to start traveling to different areas. So if y'all are interested in meeting us, or if y'all have, you know, cons in y'all's area, feel free to let us know. Oh, that looks so good. That looks real nice. Buttons feel good. Okay. All right, let's get this controller cord cleaned. And I'm just using isopropyl alcohol, 91%, a green fiber rag, and I am using soapy water to clean the plastic parts.
Testing with Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yep. Such a good game.
Oh, and all the CSB people. Hey, General Malice here. Live with Ms.Malice testing and cleaning controllers. Thanks for hanging out with us. It is my day off. There is no games with Mr. Malice, General Malice tonight, so you will have to wait till tomorrow.
Wah, wah, wah. That means I get the general tonight. Yay! Alrighty, so all the buttons feel really, really nice. Nothing feels like it's sticking. The game's almost loaded up. This one's got a real springy joystick. Alrighty. Come on, game. Back in the day when games took forever to load and you couldn't skip the intro and you have to just wait.
Thanks for another like.
Thank you so much for the like. Really appreciate it. All right, so we are currently testing a controller that I just cleaned. We're testing with Conker's Bad Fur Day, making sure that our little squirrel can fly. Okay, that's looking good. Gets that frying pan out. That's all looking good. That looks good, looks good. Looking good. All right. So another controller done. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up and then go on to the next one. So we have a box with a ton of them in there. I started with the atomic purple ones because, oh, that is dirty. I thought I cleaned that. That's gross. Give me a second. Let me get that vintage crust off.
Vintage crust, I love it.
Yep. I mean, charge extra for the vintage crust, right?
Hey, subscriber, thanks for, hey, viewer, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 10 in the stream, I love it.
Yay, 10 in the stream. I love it. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. Y'all are encouraging me, keeping me going, motivated. It's like, but like I said, you know, once you start getting into it, it's not so bad. The first controller took me about, 40 minutes to get it all done. And then now it's taking me 10 to 15 minutes per controller, which is pretty awesome. I just think that's a weird oxidation on the cord. All right, so go ahead and get this wrapped back up. Get this ready to go. Another good controller in the books. All right. So we're doing complete and total controller breakdowns. We want to make sure that they are totally clean before we get to the, ooh, that one's really pretty. Totally clean before we get to the convention. We want to make sure that there's no stuff underneath the pads or anything like that. So we just take them down completely. So there's 7 screws on the back, plus 2 screws in where the booster pack goes. Everything's a Phillips head screwdriver on here. I'm using isopropyl alcohol and soapy water. Soapy water only for the plastic parts. And then I'm using the alcohol to get the water off afterwards. Using the alcohol to clean off the contacts of the board and to make sure that everything looks good on the inside. What I like to do is I like to unscrew all the screws first, make sure that they're all the way loose, and then I'm just going to flip the controller upside down to get the screws out. That way I can just separate them and put them onto the lid of my iFixit kit. Always that one. I always miss that one. There we go. Okay. So I take the controller apart first, then I'm going to, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of those is a different screw. We got 2 hanging out. So once I get this separated, I'm going to put the plastic parts into a bucket of soapy water and let those soak while I clean the electrical components. And then I will dry off all of the plastic and put it back together. So we got the 7 plus 2 screws, and now we should just be able to, oh, got one hanging out. I didn't even try that one. How did y'all let me miss that one? That's my bad. There we go. 7, because I can't count. All right, there we go. It is apart. So we're going to take this, we're going to put it in the soapy water. Take those plastic pieces, these little rubber pads, this little rubber pad, and those all go in the soapy water. Okay, so now we have these 3 silver screws that are holding the joystick to the front of the controller. If I could eventually get the screwdriver in there. We're going to take those out. I've started holding my finger underneath the joystick just because it gives it a little bit more support and I'm not grinding it into the table as I'm trying to take it out. Totally, you know, up to y'all. It's just something that I started to find helped me while I was working, just make it a little bit easier. Okay, so we're going to separate those. The nice thing about these screws is you can't mix them up. Silver screws are on the inside. The 2 small black screws go here, and the big black screws go on the outside of the controller. So now we've got the circuit completely separated. It's all detached. So now we just unwind this right here, and we can take this little board right out. Okay. And we have all of our buttons and our little jumper pads on there, as well as this usually stays on here too. Okay, so we're going to take those all off. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. Thank y'all all for joining, by the way. I really appreciate it. We're just getting ready for this RetroMaina convention in New Braunfels, Texas. My name's Ms.Malice. My husband's General Malice. We have a eBay store called Retro New Market where we sell retro video games, new video games and stuff. Okay, so these are the little contact pads. This is what makes contact between the button and the actual circuit board. Sometimes those get dirty, so those are going in the water too, as are all of these little controller buttons. Okay. And we're also going to take this and pop that in the water too. This one looks, like I said, really good. It looks like it might already have been cleaned. We've only got a little bit of residue on the edges, but that's okay. All right, so first things first, we're going to...
Hey, 2 more people. 12 people.
Welcome to the stream. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Sorry, General Malice is watching the stream for me. I've just got the phone going on, so if I'm missing y'all as y'all are coming in, thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all being here. We're just using, we're cleaning off Nintendo 64 controllers, getting ready for RetroMaina convention. So, oh, how did I miss that A button? Always with the A. All right. Let's see here. Do you have the toothbrush? Oh, no, there it is. Alrighty, so I'm going to use a toothbrush and a little bit of alcohol, and we're going to clean the joystick, and we're also going to clean off the contacts. Alrighty. A little scrub-a-dub-dub, looking good. Okay. Wipe that off. Alright, I'm going to take a second, I'm going to clean in here. Trying to be gentle so I'm not, like, you know, roughhousing with it. I don't want to damage the... Thank you so much for joining us, y'all. Thank you for subscribing. All right, so that looks good. The joystick looks clean. I'm not trying to like mess with it too much. I don't want to damage any of the soldering points. Not that I couldn't fix it. I just don't want to have to do unnecessary work if I don't have to. All right, so that is looking good. So the only other thing we'll do with this part of the controller is after I have everything cleaned and put back together, we will clean the cord and then we'll test it. All right, let me get the bucket of water. Alrighty. So let's start off. So I'm just using dish soap and water and a soft bristle brush. Let me cover up the Nintendo so we don't accidentally splash it with water. And I'm just, gently scrubbing everything. I'm trying to loosen off any of the dirt and residue and stuff like that.
Or two more
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, y'all. We are prepping Nintendo 64 controllers for sale at the RetroMaina Gaming Convention in New Braunfels, Texas, January 22nd and 23rd. So thank y'all so much for joining us. We are just keeping ourselves busy, motivated. I appreciate y'all taking the time to stop by. All right, so do a quick scrub down, make sure everything looks good, and then I'm going to go with the toothbrush and I'm going to go around the edges and make sure that there's no stuff hanging out on that little lip, It's like any places where the two pieces meet, that's just like a little spot for the dirt to hang out. And we don't want that. No more dirt parties. Okay. Go ahead and clean it in here, because sometimes a little bit of stuff gets in there. Rinse that out. And I'm going to set this over on a towel to dry. Then I'm going to rinse it with alcohol to make sure I get all of the, soap bubbles and all of that stuff off. So on this piece, you want to be gentle when you're brushing because there are a few pieces that stick out kind of far. And this piece especially, it's pretty easy to break if you're not paying attention when you're cleaning. So ask me how I know. So yeah, if you want to prevent damaging your stuff, just be gentle. Use a gentle brush with gentle force when you're cleaning the stuff. So I'm just going in here and I'm getting the edges where the joystick and the buttons and stuff go. Sometimes dirt just builds up in there and I don't want to look at it. I don't want y'all to look at it. It's gross. So we're just gonna take care of that. All right. Anywhere where there's an indentation, like it says Nintendo, just give that an extra little scrub. Looking pretty good. I don't see anything looking gross. So we'll set that to the side. And then now we're going to clean the little contact pads off. So y'all, if y'all have ever had Nintendo 64 controllers that might have stopped working, the button stopped working or it triggers sometimes, but it doesn't trigger all the time, chances are something got up underneath that control pad and the contact pad and is causing an interruption between the signal. So, you could try taking it apart and see if, something got up in there. Maybe it was a Cheeto. Maybe it was a little creepy crawly. I don't know what's in there, but, I found a bug in one of them this morning. So, kind of, you never know. It's an adventure when you take these controllers apart. It's like, it's like archaeology for retro gaming.
Back in 1997.
Yeah, back in 1997, this controller looked like... Alrighty. Almost done. I gotta always double check because I end up leaving one or two pads in the water because of the bubbles. I don't see it. And then when I start putting it back together, I don't have everything I need. So, this one right here. It's the sneaky one. Yeah, this is the pad that goes underneath your buttons. So like your A and your B button plus your little yellow buttons. All right.
Got another one about to jump in.
Woo-woo! Thank y'all so much. Really appreciate y'all being here and hanging out today. All right, so now we're done scrubbing. We have our dirty bucket of water. And it gets faster and faster every time I do this. It's like it's not so bad. The first controller took me a long time to get done, and now we're getting them done. But we got like 50 controllers to do, so yeah, we're trying to get 20 of them done for the convention. But you know, I'm an overachiever, so.
Plus, yes. GameCube controllers.
Yeah, we have GameCube controllers.
Different controllers every day.
We have Wii controllers. We're doing new controllers, different controllers every day. Yeah, so we'll be doing live broadcasts every day until the convention. Sorry, I'm getting directions from General Malice. He's running stuff from behind the scenes today. This controller is beautiful. The purple is such a nice. It's a very, very good purple. It doesn't have any oxidation on it at all. I mean, condition of the controller case, I would say 10 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10 for that one little scuff right there.
Explain to them what goes wrong with the controller's not a 10 anymore when you have it apart.
So, what ends up happening with these controllers that causes them to have issues, that makes them not a 10 out of 10, is if any of these plastic parts break in here and you no longer can secure the controller together firmly, that will lower the quality of the controller. The controller might still be functional, but the controller doesn't have the range that it did. And once one of those, pieces might break. What are they called?
They're called gear
something. But once those pieces start to break or start to get weak and stuff like that, you don't have that same force holding the controller together. Like worst case scenario, you could pinch your finger between the pieces of plastic because you can actually twist it and that part comes open. I mean, I don't know how often you're twisting your controller when you're playing, but that's one of the issues. Another issue is the joysticks go bad. The joysticks, after you've been playing Mario Party games especially, the joysticks start to wear out. There are these little plastic gears on the inside of them. I took one apart because I wanted to see if I could fix it, and I could not because they're plastic gears that have plastic teeth on them, and after years of playing them, the teeth wear down. So instead of them being gears that grip together, after a while they slip on each other. And so that's when you start to have the joysticks that drift and stuff like that. So unfortunately, there is only one company that has decided to 3D print the gears.
No, they mold inject.
They mold inject the gears, but that's the only way to get those gears replaced. And that person's on Etsy. I don't have the name of the company off the top of my head, but that is one way of replacing the insides with the injection molded stuff. You can also buy replacement parts like stainless steel wells for the joystick to go into and stuff like that. But if you're not a daily N64 player, I don't think it's necessary to spend $200 to modify a controller unless you want to. I mean, by all means, if that's your jam, then go for it. But I think that most gamers could, do a little bit of repairing by maybe getting a replacement joystick, an OEM joystick, and fixing that, and you could get your controller back to, acceptable or even good condition with a little bit of effort without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But if you're, an avid Mario Party player and you really want to, nail your friends with that, grinding the little joystick in there, then get that metal well. Sorry, y'all, just drying off the alcohol.
Nobody knows how dry I am. Nobody knows how dry I am.
How dry I am. Yeah. Well, this one's so shiny, it almost looks wet to begin with. Like, whoever owned this controller before we had it took very good care of it. I mean, out of all of the controllers, it's more purple looking. you can see. Anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and start putting this back together. We've got our whatever plus pad, directional pad. There we go. My brain. Yeah, that was a plus sign. We've got our start button in here. And the cool thing, like I've said before, all these buttons have proprietary orientations. They can't go in wrong. So they only fit one way. You just have to find which one goes where and put it in there. So that's pretty cool. All right. So I made the mistake earlier and I didn't double check to make sure that my keys were set in place before I put the whole thing back together. And I didn't break it. But I had to take it apart after I put it back together. I had to like unscrew everything and redo it all because I screwed it all together and then realized that the A button wouldn't press down because it was stuck in the position and it was a mess. So I've learned to just check to make sure all my buttons are in the right orientation before I start closing things up. All right. But it's like a little puzzle. It's, you know, it's fun. Like I said, I really enjoy fixing things that are broken or revitalizing things that aren't necessarily broken but need a little bit of love. If I can keep something out of the trash and give it another life, let somebody use it again, that is my jam. I grew up in that Captain Planet reduce, reuse, recycle era. So,
Yeah, 35 minutes.
all right. General Malice says I have about 35 minutes left, so let's see how many more controllers I can get done in that time. I think I can get 3. But let's not tempt fate. Alright. So I'm just going to real quick secure this in here since I'm already here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the pads back on. You want to make sure that your screws are in there in the right thread before you start tightening them. So what I do is I'll back it up, like go backwards the opposite direction. So what is that? Counterclockwise. Make sure that it's in the right thread, and then I'll start going clockwise to make sure that there's no resistance.
Oh, you have 2 hours of watch time on this.
Nice. All right, so there we go. All right, sweet. So I found out the hard way that when you start having the resistance, nope, that's in wrong. There's a chance that you're going to break that peg that you're going into. So you just back it back out and make sure that it's lined in there correctly. There we go. It should literally just go in with no resistance at all. And if it starts to give you trouble, then maybe you're in trouble. Alright, ah dang. There we go. Alrighty. So I'm using the iFixit kit. This is the larger screwdriver because General Malice is using the small one right now. For whatever reason, this particular, I think it's just this bit itself is not magnetic for whatever reason. So it's been giving me some guff. All right, so these little pads go back onto the left and right trigger buttons. They have a specific orientation they go into. There's little holes on the circuits, on the little boards. So you just make sure that they snap into those. And then what I do is I hold the rubber down when I slide it back into position. That way that the bottom edge of the rubber doesn't lift up and cause any problems. Same thing on this piece right here. There's a nub right here on the top and there's a nub on the bottom. Just tuck that in there and then it makes it snap in really nice and secure. All right, so we're good. We've got our joystick attached to the front, so our circuit is already set in place. We've got our cord rewired through. We're going to put our left and our right jumper or bumper trigger pads on there. So it's backwards, so your left is going to be on your right's on your left. Alrighty. Bum, bum, bum. And then still got a little bit of alcohol in there. All right. And it should slide back on with no issue. Buttons are in place. There we go. There we go. Yeah. When that makes that little snap, that's when you know it's good. Oh, wait. What's going on? What is catching up here? Something's not letting it slide in.
Giggity.
That's funny. It's like Shane Moss. This is giving me guff.
It's giving me guff.
There we go. I got it. No more guff given. All right. So our screws look pretty good on this one. I don't have any major like corrosion or anything like that. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time wiping them down. I'm just going to make sure that they are properly lined up in their little hole. Go in your hole. There we go. Same thing. Back it up if you have to. Sometimes it's just the angle, you know? Like, it looks like it's a straight angle to you, but it's actually a slightly diagonal angle. So, you know, work with what you're working with. And sometimes you just gotta have patience and take your time. I am not always the most patient person. So this is a learning experience for me to be patient. Let's see here. Almost done. And then we can test this controller. Make sure it's good. And then on to the next one. Like I said, we're going to try to get, I said 3. Because we're going to be rock stars. And we're going to get 3 done. I know I can do it. We can do it together, y'all. We got this.
If we run over, it's fine. But...
Y'all are keeping me encouraged. We got this. Motivated. Thank y'all so much for sticking around, hanging out. I appreciate it. Looking good. Alrighty. I need the small screwdriver again. Does it have the triple?
Nope, that's triple on it.
Alrighty. I mean, that one didn't feel like it took that long. Alrighty. That cord is already clean, so we're gonna go ahead and not worry about that too much. Good catch. Alright. So let's get this bad boy tested. So we've done 5 controllers so far. Out of those 5 controllers, 4 of them would be 9 or 10s. And we have one that I would say is a 6 because of cosmetic damage. Ooh, 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 this one feels real good. I like that one. That joystick feels like it's a replacement. Yeah, this is the controller right here. It's perfect. All right, so of course we chose a game that has an unskippable load up screen because we did that. Oh, look how good, y'all. It looks so good. It looks so clean, aside from that little piece of green lint. Look at that. There's no dust. There's no Cheeto crumbs. Nothing. It's looking good. Looking good. I mean, if I saw this, I'd be like, are you sure this is used? All right. That works. That works. 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 Works, right? Start. We are good to go, y'all. Okay. Get this all wrapped up. On to the next one. On to the next, on to sorry. Yeah, if y'all are from the CSBA and you know General Malice, after 18 years of being married to him, 19 years being together, you know, we picked up a few of each other's habits, behaviors, and tendencies. All right, another purple one. But look at the difference. Can you see the difference in the purples? Like, I mean, maybe it's very like slight, but this one is so much more purple than this one. This one's like kind of grayish with a yellowish tinge to it, whereas this one actually looks purple. All right, flip it on its back, and let's get these screws out of here. So unscrew that. Yeah. So we are getting these controllers ready for sale. We have a RetroMaina convention coming up January 22nd and 23rd. And then we have our eBay store, Retro New Market, where we ship same day Monday through Friday. So if you're interested in any of these items, feel free to head to our eBay store, or you can reach out here and we can talk about some of the stuff we have. Okay. So I like to unscrew those, get them loose first, and then just dump them out. This controller feels like it's going to be a little satisfying. It's got some stuff on the inside, some vintage dirt. Start selling vintage dirt. How do you know it's vintage? Well, I mean, I don't know. I collected it on something that was 20 years or older. Okie dokie. All right, take that off. We're gonna go ahead and put this in the water. Take all those off. Get those in the water. Take out the screws for the joystick. Now hold on to that, not push down on it. So, General, there's one controller that I feel like it's a beautiful looking controller, but the joystick feels like it might be a replacement joystick.
Okay.
Feel that one compared to this one.
I mean, this would be like a 6.
It's grit. Well, I could put it in that one instead.
Yeah, I would do that.
Okay.
Definitely do that.
Okay. So that'll be another project for another day, or now? All right. So real quick, while we are, oh no. That's the good controller. That's what happens. That's awful. Okay. All right. So real quick, while we're letting those soak, we're gonna go ahead and do a real quick joystick swap. So this is why it's important to keep your stuff that's damaged, because you never know when you might want to replace some stuff. And it's pretty simple. If you have them, if you have the parts, this part is easy. There's no major anything. The hardest part is unscrewing and unsnapping. Okay, so this is the broken one. This is the one that has the good joystick. All right. Nice. Alright, so same thing as before. But for this one, a few things that we're going to do that are a little different. So we're going to unscrew the joystick.
Still got 7 in the stream. Thanks for hanging out with us. Almost done here.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We still got 7 of y'all in the stream. I really appreciate that. All right, let's see here. See if I can get this out. There we go. Super easy to get that off. Now, this part right here just snaps off, like slides out. Super easy, no big deal. All right, let's set this over there. All right, and take our good controller, bad joystick, and we're gonna Frankenstein this one.
Ooh, new subscriber, thank you very much.
Woo, new subscriber, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We're on our way to 1,000, almost there.
Yeah, we're on our way to 1,000, almost there. I really appreciate everybody joining us today and hanging out while we're cleaning Nintendo 64 controllers. If this is your kind of jam, we're going to be doing this every day for the next like 10 days until we get to the RetroMaina convention in New Braunfels, Texas. So tomorrow it'll be either GameCube or Wii controllers. Probably GameCube controllers. We got a lot of those Wavebird controllers that need to be cleaned. Okay. Almost done. Okay, so those are all out. We just got to get the little ones in here. And you know what's really cool, y'all, is like, okay, so say you have 2 controllers, you got a purple one and a gray one, but you're like, well, I want something, my gray one's broken. Well, maybe you can Frankenstein and make a purple gray controller where you have a gray back and a purple front, or vice versa, or whatever. Like, it's really kind of neat because these controllers aren't that hard to work with. It's pretty easy to do the repairs. It's pretty easy to take them apart and clean them. You know, it's not anything scary. And it feels really good when you can say, I did that. Like, I made that. I fixed that. Okay. Same thing. We're going to pull this one out. There we go. Put this one in. Good to go. We're gonna slide this back on. Oh yeah, check us out. I mean, yo. Did we lose any screws in there? Nothing. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put the joystick back in there, secure it back in place. Come on. So I want to be really careful with this one. I noticed as I was unscrewing it, especially this right here, you can see where that plastic is already cracked. So as long as I don't force it, shouldn't have any problems. But I want to be cautious and aware of what I'm working with. There we go. Okay. All right, so left goes on the right, right goes on the left for those. triggers. And slide that back into its home. Okay, you're good, you're good. Put that in there. Okay, we're secured, looking good, looking good. Perfect. All right, so now we just put it back together. So remember what I said, we're going to be real careful screwing these screws in. That one already is giving me some trouble, so go on to the next one. I'm hoping that I can just get them secured in there, and then once it's secured, I won't have to feel like I'm fussing with that one too much. It'll set up better. There it goes. That's good. Like I said, I just don't want to break that plastic thing if I don't. There we go. So we only have 2 more screws. And I already know this joystick works. I just need to check it to make sure that I pushed it in hard enough and that it connected.
Oh, thank you for another like.
Oh, thank you so much for the like. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. Alrighty. Almost done. We got 1 more screw on this part of the 7. It's this one right here, the one that's being difficult. Come on. Oops, sorry y'all. No. Maybe just a different screw. This one's really giving me trouble. Again, because I know it's already got issues. I'm trying to be careful with it.
Only 14 more minutes, guys.
Only 14 more minutes, y'all.
Before we go to the stream, but thanks for holding on strong. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, got it. All right, thank you so much, y'all, for hanging in there with us. Really appreciate it. I thought I was going to be able to get the extra controllers done in that time, but I got the joystick swap done, so that's good. And I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 controllers cleaned? 4 controllers cleaned? Can I see that small screwdriver again? Thank y'all so much for hanging strong with us. Y'all are definitely keeping me motivated and encouraged as I'm working on this stuff. Especially when there's issues like this, you know? It's like, it's not always easy. It's not always like, you know, you do it the first time perfect and stuff like that. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes, you know, you break stuff. And that was a really hard lesson for me to be okay with. I don't like to break things. I don't like to be wrong. I like to be able to figure it out the first time. And I've learned a lot of patience and just, you know, sometimes it just takes you having to do things a couple of times to figure it out. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you having to do it twice. if it gets the job done and the job is done correctly, you know, yeah, it could have been nice being done right the first time, but that's not the real world sometimes. So, okie dokie. So I'm just checking it. Already got it plugged in. Good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and start scrubbing the other controller too, since I have that one soaking. So I will put that other controller back together, but I'm not worried about it right now because it's going to be a parts piece at this point. But yeah, so you can see this is a, you know, I mean, the joystick still works. It's just very wiggly, not top quality. Where this one, it's got a little bit of a wiggle from side to side, but when you touch it, it's much more of a strong joystick. It doesn't have that weird grittiness to it too. It just didn't feel like a good controller. And it moves just fine. Awesome. So that looks good. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and put this over here with the clean controllers. Oops. That's gonna go there with that. All right, so let's see if we can get this one last controller cleaned in this last 15 minutes. I think we can do it, y'all. I have faith. It is kind of a dirty one, so it should feel like it should be satisfying when it's done. I'm just using the big brush to get the big areas, and I'll use the toothbrush to get the detailed areas. That way we work smarter, not harder. You know, I don't want to spend all day long scrubbing all the tiny, or the big spots with a tiny brush, you know? It's like scrubbing the floor of a military barracks with a toothbrush. Like, unless you really did something wrong, there's no reason for you to be doing that. Hey, thank y'all so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, y'all. We are getting Nintendo 64 controllers ready. We're cleaning them, deep cleaning them for the RetroMaina convention in New Braunfels, Texas. We are online retro gaming resellers. We also have, you know, we sell locally in Austin, Texas. And yeah, so we are doing deep cleans here, taking all these controllers apart, getting all the vintage Cheeto dust out of them, ready to go to their new homes. So I've been working on Atomic Purple this whole time. I do have some other colors, but I think the clear ones are the coolest ones. And they're the most satisfying to clean because you really get to see how dirty they were. So this is just soapy water and a toothbrush. I'm going in all the spots where the pieces connect, the top and bottom parts connect, scrubbing those really well because that's usually where the grime likes to reside. And then I set it on a towel to dry, and then I wipe everything down with alcohol to get any of the residual water and stuff out of the plastic, like in the little nooks and crannies. I've also already cleaned the circuit board for this one, I believe. Nope, I have not. That controller is gross. So that'll be the next thing I do is I'll clean the joystick and stuff like that. Make sure that that's cleaned. If you do take your controller apart, make sure you get like the sides of where the Joy-Con goes and the start button and in the A and B buttons, especially if you have the clear controllers. The grime gets pushed in there and then you really, really see it really bad when the controller's cleaned and then all you have left is like two little grimy spots on the side. So just doing a little scrub. Fortunately, this start button's not dirty. The other one I did a minute ago was so gross. It's crazy how some controllers are really dirty and some controllers are really clean. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't even matter necessarily, like, you know, some people's hands just maybe sweat more and just naturally, like, you know, over time you like lose skin cells more and stuff than others. But it's my job to get rid of all that stuff before this goes on to the next person. So, my name is Ms.Malice. I'm General Malice's wife. I do the repair work for Retro New Market. I do 3D printing. I do some of the behind the scenes work. Help get things prepared. He's typically the face of the business.
Oh, another subscribe or another reviewer.
Yay! Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are wrapping up. We're finishing our last controller for the day. We've got to get ready to start packing our stuff up for our eBay sales for today.
For almost 2 hours.
We've been streaming for about 2 hours. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to clean probably GameCube controllers. We're getting ready for this RetroMaina convention in New Braunfels, Texas. It's January 22nd and 23rd, so next weekend. So our plan is to have like at least 25 Nintendo 64 controllers and GameCube controllers. We're going to have Wavebirds. We'll have consoles out there, games, some, collectible items, pops, retro toys, plushes, stuff like that. So it'd be awesome if y'all are in Texas and y'all are in the Central Texas area if y'all want to check it out. It's in New Braunfels at the New Braunfels Convention Center. And we will be there both days. Let's see here. I think I got all the stuff out of there. All right. Now I'm going to take a second and I'm going to go ahead and clean the circuit since I didn't do that in the very beginning. So this is just isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush. This is 91% alcohol. That way we're not introducing any extra water into anything. I'm just going to clean off the part right here. I'm going to clean off the contacts of the left and right triggers. And then I'm going to flip the controller over. Oh, also the Z trigger. I'm going to flip the controller over and we're going to clean the button contacts for the directional pad as well as the A and B and the little yellow buttons and the start button. Okay, so now we got that. We're going to go ahead and clean out the joystick. A little bit of elbow grease. Hopefully y'all can see that. And I just turn it, I go north, south, east, and west and scrub each side of the joystick underneath to make sure that I'm getting all that, vintage dust and dirt. Nobody wants that. Like, vintage stuff is cool, but vintage dirt, I mean, unless it's in a jar and I don't have to touch it, I don't want it. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Cool. So now it's just putting the controller back together. We're going to dry it all off. I'm going to put some alcohol in here. That'll dry out the water that's in those little cracks. Plus it'll make it dry, faster. And it's sanitary. Now this controller is super clean. So you do want to be careful when you are cleaning these controllers. They are vintage. The plastic has, aged. Not that it's brittle and it's breaking down or anything like that, but if you thread the screws in wrong, there's a good chance that you'll break the guide that you screwed into, and then you don't have the same security when you close you close the controller. So you want to make sure that you're just careful and you're taking your time, lining everything up correctly, not being really vigorous when you're drying things. And like I said before, ask me how I know. I broke stuff earlier when I was doing this. Not because I was being careless, but because I was just, drying something a little bit harder than was necessary. So, I'm going to use a little bit of canned air. I apologize, y'all. I know it's a little loud. Alright, and so when you're doing that, don't do like I keep doing and splash the alcohol, like, bits into your eyeballs. Maybe look a different direction when you're spraying the sprayer. Words of wisdom from Ms.Malice. Don't get alcohol in your eyeballs. If you learned anything today, I hope you learned that. The more you know. Alright, so we're looking good. Look at how beautiful that controller looks now, y'all. Had that slight grayness to it earlier, and now it's like purple again. Oh, I just love that. Like, it just makes me happy. Like, the bottom is still... That's not so bad. So this is the good thing about having extra parts. Find the one that looks the best. Put it back together. I think that one's okay. That looks pretty good. All right, so now we're going to put it back together. So, no, we're not, because we didn't clean out the buttons and the rest of the stuff. All right. Goodness. Okay. Didn't dry it off yet. There we go. Okay, so let's put this back together. This one goes here. So like I said before, all these buttons have a place that they go. They don't fit any other way, so they have to go in the right way. And when y'all are doing this, be careful with this little guy right here. He's a little fragile. Or it's a little fragile. Let's not genderize the thing. But it's a little fragile, and it broke earlier when I was wiping it. Not this one, but another one. And so, just be gentle with it. Okay. So we're going to put this little pad onto the back here. Hopefully y'all can see everything. I apologize. I can't quite see what's going on ahead of me. Okay. Alrighty. I'll remember this eventually. I'll be able to put these controllers together in my sleep soon. Alright. Had a little escapey button. The A button. A. Alright. Last few things. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get these buttons in here without issue. I think that's that one. Yeah. Y'all seen that video where it's like, what hole does this go into? That's right, the square hole. And then they take all the shapes and they put the shapes in the square hole. I was like, sometimes that's how I feel when I'm doing this, but they can't fit in the square hole. I'm sorry, y'all. I know. That's the squeaky noise. Okie dokie. Once again, thank y'all so much for joining us. I really appreciate y'all being here. It really keeps me motivated. You know, something a little different, a little new for me. Gets me out of my comfort zone. And I really appreciate it, y'all. Just being here. It encourages me and lets me know that, you know, some of the stuff I do is kind of interesting. And maybe other people want to see, you know, what it takes to do the behind the scenes work for some of this stuff. So thank y'all for checking us out, getting this little controller back together. And if y'all happen to be in the Texas area next weekend, Central Texas area, January 22nd, 23rd, come check us out at RetroMaina in New Braunfels, Texas. And then after that one, we're going to start hitting up some different conventions. We're going to head to Dallas, you know, probably Arkansas, Florida, Louisiana. We're going to go check out the different venues and start making more of a presence in the, you know, actual convention circuit. So, but you guys can see the care that we take in our items. You know, this is what we do for all of our stuff. We want to make sure that it is getting to you in its absolute best condition possible. You know, if it's not at our quality, you know, standards, then we're not gonna send it out as, you know, top quality. We're gonna always have, you know, information about our items, and we'll let you know, hey, this, you know, this is doing this or whatever, if there's an issue with any of the items. But usually we just don't sell those items. We'd rather not have an issue with anything and just send you out the creme de la creme. you know? So, all right, so we got the left on the right and the right on the left. I mean, I think I did it good. In 15 minutes, I got one joystick swapped and one console or one controller cleaned. That's pretty good. Okay, so now we just have to put the silver screws back into the joystick. Like I said, I like to hold it up. Oh, I need to double check, make sure my buttons are in place. Everything's good. Okay, cool. Don't want to make a mistake like I did earlier. Built the controller all the way to the end, and then the A button was in sideways. It just moved as I put the stuff back in together. And so I had to take it all the way apart, start over. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, cool. So that's there, that's there. Put the joysticks back on. Not joysticks. Triggers. All right. Make sure that looks good. Okay, okay, cool. Let's get this put back together. Come on. Okay, and I'm going to take my time, make sure they're lined up straight. We're not going to try to accidentally thread these screws in wrong. That plastic is fragile. If that one doesn't work, I'm just going to move on to another one and I'll come back to it, because eventually after I get some of the other ones in place correctly, then it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, see? Perfect. See, and that one lined up perfect now. There it goes. I feel like they maybe like did that, like made it like slightly angled, just so it's not as easy for people to like fix it, you know, or to make it easier for them to break it. You know, it's like they don't have the right to repair information for people, so it's like if this stuff gets damaged, the way that we figured out how to fix it is, you know, sharing information with each other and the people that have the electrical engineering knowledge and stuff like that. That is not my strong suit. I actually studied that when I was in the military, but it is not my forte anymore. So I like to defer information. Nice. Thank y'all so much for joining us and for subscribing and the likes and all that. I really do appreciate it. It's really encouraging. We're almost done. This is going to be my last controller. I'm on the last few screws right now, making sure we get them lined up correctly. We're not trying to rush it or force it or anything like that. We want to keep these, you know, top dollar controllers. We only had one sacrifice, and it was a sacrifice for the greater good because we actually were able to repair one controller back to make it a 9. So, you know, we lost a controller that was a 6, but we gained a 9. So I think that, you know, in the end, that's a good exchange. Okie dokie. So tiny little screws. And then we test this bad boy. And then we are good to go. So then after this, y'all, we're gonna end the live stream. We have our daily video that we're making for our eBay store. And then we'll be back tomorrow. More controllers. Eventually we'll do consoles. Be a grand old time. Sweet. So, look at how beautiful it looks though, y'all. It did not look that purple when we started. The top is beautiful. The bottom has a little bit of grayness to it, but
Can't see it.
nothing major. No, it looks like there's a little bit of moisture in there.
That's
Think it'll be alright? It'll dry? Okay.
You used alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's when General comes in and tells me, it's okay. Don't stress yourself out. I want to be perfect at all times. So I hold myself to a really, really high, you know, level that's unnecessary at times. So.
For that.
But yeah, I'm very happy. This controller looks great. Super clean now. Joystick is really good. And after the beginning, conquers bad fur day. All the buttons feel great. Nice, responsive. Nothing too... It's great. Looking good, looking good. Everything's looking good. Sweet. All right, y'all. So, in the last, 2 hours we were here, we got 5 controllers cleaned. Technically 6 controllers cleaned, but we did 1 joystick swap, so we sacrificed 1. But I think we did a great job. You know, those controllers look great. Everything's, you know, a 9 or a 10. All the joysticks are clean. All the, you know, buttons are good to go. Everything's been tested. And, you know, that's a good start. We've gotten, 20% of our quota done so far for the controllers. So I think that's a really, really great number. You know, I really appreciate y'all being here with me. Y'all kept me motivated and encouraged to keep going, even when I was having the struggles with the screws missing or, you know, the joystick not working as I, you know, had desired. And y'all helped me just keep pushing through and encouraged me to, you know, just keep going. So I thank y'all so very much.
I reveal you.
Oh.
No, it's just all boobs now.
So thank y'all very much for being here. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye, y'all.